Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are taking a look back at one of the most grossly overpowered ships in the game, or a ship that was, at one point, most definitely the most busted ship in the game, and that is the Tier 7 Premium British Light Cruiser, the Belfast. Now, the Belfast was first introduced all the way back in October of 2016, and she was removed a little under a year later in October of 2017. I think she went up on like the 21st of October in 2016, and then she got removed, I think on like the 16th or 17th of October in 2017. So the ship didn't even make it a full year in the game before she got yoinked. So that's the fastest a ship has been yoinked, but she has been yoinked nonetheless, and there is no way to get this ship in game with the, I believe it's still in the super containers that you can get for the, like your 3 daily shipments, not daily shipments, your 3 daily containers that you can earn. I believe there's still a slight chance to get her in there, and I think this year was the last year she was available in the Santa containers. I think next year she's just not going to be available at all, which is a very strange move for Wargaming, considering people just like the old Missouri spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars trying to get this ship, even still today. But we're going to look at her today and see how she does in 2022, a ship that's going to be 6 years old this year. That's pretty crazy to think about that. But anyway, the Belfast. So, what is the Belfast? Well, she's a real steel ship. She is preserved as a museum ship in the UK. You can go visit her if you wish to, and I one day wish to visit the Belfast for myself, if I can ever make my way over to that side of the Atlantic. So, she is a British light cruiser. I mean, she's a down-tiered Edinburgh. There's not much to be surprised here in her armor. I mean, if you're familiar with British light cruisers and how squishy they are, no surprise here. So she's a Tier 7 cruiser. She's got 13mm bow plating. Her Citadel belt is 114mm. Her upper armor belt is 19mm, and she does have a 114mm strip just above her Citadel as well. Stern is 13. Stern deck is 13. Main deck is 19. Center deck is 51mm. And then main deck 4 of the center deck is 19 as well. In terms of survivability, she has 38,850 hit points. That is with the survivability expert skill equipped on my commander. And she has 4% torpedo damage reduction. Now, given her mega box of gimmicks, she really won't be eating too many torpedoes unless you're like me and slip up like I do in the match you're watching in the background right now. By the way, oh my god, matches tonight. I don't know if it was Wednesday or just it was punishment for some other thing I did. I guess I'm playing too much of the Division 2 and not committing my soul to World of Warships like I used to. But I got absolutely trash matches when I was trying to record footage for this ship. The footage you're watching does still show the strengths and weaknesses of the ship very well, but I mean, good god, the games I had, they're just incredibly one-sided, and I'm talking like I had 3 games in a row where my team simply left the other flank, and I'm like, what the heck? And I'm stuck here in this Tier 7 light cruiser. Like, right, it is the Belfast, but by myself trying to hold a single flank without any DD support, any carrier support, nothing. I don't know what it was, guys, but I had some rough matches, and I wish I could have captured a better match to show you guys the Belfast, but this is all I could really do, given the matches I kept getting handed by the matchmaker. But anyway, the guns, definitely the main feature of the ship. So the Belfast has 12 152mm guns. They are in 4 triple mounts. They have a reload time of 7.5 seconds base, and a 180 time with the Grease the Gears skill with Burt Dunkirk's increased Grease the Gears skill. God, that's a tongue twister. They have a 180 time of 21.4 seconds. Without Grease the Gears, these are, even with Grease the Gears, with Dunkirk's improved Grease the Gears, this is quite a slow 180 time for a light cruiser, and that very much is, again, another weakness of the ship. Oh, and of course, survivability is probably the main balancing factor here with the Belfast, because everything else is pretty much just nutty. Alright, so you also have a maximum range of 15.4 kilometers and a maximum dispersion of 130 meters at that 15.4 kilometers. So our HE shells. That's right, this is a light cruiser, a British light cruiser, I should say, with HE. Back when the British light cruisers came out, it was deemed that they had simply too fast-firing guns to have HE shells. I want that guy or that gal working at Wargaming again, whoever made that call. So they didn't have any, but the Belfast was allowed to have HE, and that's definitely her strength. So the maximum alpha of these HE shells is 2100. You have an 11% chance to cause a fire with the, what's the fire skill called? Destruction Expert, Demolition Expert equipped, along with, I believe, both of the fire flags on your signal flags, and yep, have those equipped too. So you get 11% fire chance, which isn't terrible for a tier 7 cruiser, but obviously, especially in today's World of Warships, that could be a lot better. And her guns can pin 25 millimeters of armor, so being a tier 7 cruiser, that's quite a lot you can pin if you are top tier. If you're bottom tier, it's a different story, and we'll get to that different story here in a moment. And the HE comes out the tubes at 841 meters a second, but the air drag and the arcs aren't fantastic, so if you're having to fire at that 15.4 kilometer maximum range, the shells are a bit draggy, gotta give a pretty big lead. It's not American floaty shells bad, but it's definitely noticeable, and you will be having to give ships much greater leads at those ranges. So her AP, she does have an AP maximum rating of 3100 maximum damage, and again, they come out the tubes at 841 meters a second. She does have 8 102 secondary guns, but again, they are mostly for dual-purpose AA. But if you're wondering, they do reload in 3 seconds, have a maximum range of 5.9 kilometers, and they can pin 17 millimeters of armor, 8% chance of causing a fire, and they travel at 811 meters a second. Her AA is okay nowadays. She has an A rating of 66. Again, she has those 8 102s in there as dual purpose, and then she has 12 40mm guns in dual mounts. Alright, maximum speed of 34.1 knots. Not a overly fast cruiser, but not overly slow by tier 7 as well. She has a turning circle radius of 730 meters and a rudder shift time of 7.7 seconds. And she does get the British light cruiser turning drag coefficient, which means she retains pretty much most of her energy in a turn, so she doesn't really lose much speed when she's running away and having to dodge, which is very, very, very nice indeed. And here comes one of her biggest pluses, her concealment. So she can get her detection range down to 8.9 kilometers, because this is a tier 7 cruiser, and you might notice this at the start of the video, that does get the 5th mod slot, which means you can take the Concealment Expert skill on your commander, and you can take the Concealment module, which gets you down to 8.9 kilometers, which is huge. As you guys have heard me say plenty of times, having good enough concealment to where you can dictate the terms of your engagement is an absolute massive plus for any ship to have in this game. And for a light cruiser like the Belfast to have that is absolutely crazy. And that is one of the main things that made her so broken back in the day, but again, we'll get more on that in a second. So on top of having a 5th mod slot, she also has the following consumables. Radar that goes out to 8.5 kilometers, lasts for 28.1 seconds, reloads in 114 seconds, you get 4 charges of that with Superintendent. Smoke screen that disperses in 103 seconds, has a radius of 0.6 kilometers, reloads in 152 seconds, you get 4 charges of that with Superintendent. And hydroacoustic search that goes out to 4 kilometers and detects torpedoes from 3 kilometers, is active for 112.5 seconds, and reloads 114 seconds. And again, you get 4 charges of that with Superintendent. And of course, she gets Damage Con, no heal here. So she has quite the toolbox of consumables. So this set of consumables, combined with her amazing concealment range, means that you literally could just sit in your smoke screen in Belfast back in the day, and what's anyone going to do to you? Nothing. What can they do? You're in your smoke, you're farming away to your heart's content. Any destroyer that dares get close to you What are they going to do? Rush your smoke when you have radar and hydro? At the bare minimum, if you have hydro up and they're trying to rush you, they're going to be spotted from 4 kilometers away, which at tier 7 with, again, a ship with 12 152mm guns that reload in 7.5 seconds, you're going to eviscerate them with the HE. And then again, you have the radar, so if you think a destroyer is near you, pop it, and for 8.5 kilometers around your ship at tier 7, you see everything. So, yeah, you were kind of this just angry smokescreen that was very difficult to get eyes on. So, shoot, this thing was nuts back in the day. Now, once you got eyes on this very angry smokescreen, it turned out to be a very angry, squishy cruiser that could be relatively easily dealt with once you got past the hurdle of spotting the thing. Because, again, destroyers, they go near this thing, they die. Very, very, very easily. So, back in the day when the Belfast was around, there wasn't really a lot that could counter her very easily. You know, of course, we had CVs, we had RTS CVs that certainly could, but again, that's back in the day when they lost planes, and I don't really remember too much one way or another what Belfast AA was like back in the day. Just taking a quick peek at the other British cruisers around tier 7, just in port right here, it looks like she has about the same AA rating, which is fairly decent. It's the same AA as Edinburgh, so I mean, who knows? But with AA nowadays, who cares, you know? You can dodge the flag all day long. So the ability to just absolutely dictate the terms of her engagement back in the day and run away when she needed to, because again, 8.5 kilometer concealment and an 8.9 kilometer concealment with an 8.5 kilometer radar. Anything that gets close enough to spot you, you radar. Now they're spotted, and it's probably a DD, especially at tier 7, that's getting that close without getting spotted, and you just rip them a new one and they run away. So you were free to farm battleships and other cruisers all day in the Belfast, and farm players in the Belfast did. They did it very, 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 very well. So how has this ship gone over into 2022? Well, here's the thing with a couple of major changes between then and now. Of course, we've had the commander skills change up, and God, so many reworks and all, to where so many aspects about the game have changed. But honestly, most of those changes didn't really affect the Belfast too much. A couple did knock her down a rung or two on the power chart, but she's still always been at the top of the game. The biggest change has been, and this is probably the biggest impact on the Belfast, is the matchmaker. As we all know now, the way matchmaker works, tier 7s tend to be bottom tier or mid tier far, far, far more than they are ever top tier. Now you can imagine this ship in a tier 5 game. Yeah, that's a bit rough. Tier 5 cruisers and battleships and destroyers trying to deal with this monster that has smoke, hydro, and radar all in one? It's just not happening, bud. What tier 5 destroyer in its right mind is going to get in the same zip code as this thing? None of them are. But for the 2 hours that I played trying to record for this video, I wasn't top tier once. I was mid-tier a lot at tier 8, which isn't a bad place for the Belfast to be. I mean, you got 12 152mm guns, HE, good DPM, hydro, smoke, radar. It's certainly a very capable ship there. But it's when you get up to tier 9 that you're really just kind of like, oh. Now, back in the day when this ship would get up tiered, there wasn't a lot of radar at all in the game. I mean, we had the American cruisers, the Soviet cruisers. Good God, back when the Moscow was a tech line ship and such, the higher tier Soviet cruisers had radar, and 1 or 2 premiums here or there had radar. But nowadays, radar is just so freaking common that it's not even funny. Same with hydroacoustic search too. That used to just be a German thing, and a select few lines could swap hydro out with DFAA. But now it's like every cruiser release seems to have hydro now. So yeah, and then add on top of that, again, so many new features and gimmicks of other ships at higher tier. The utility of the Belfast has kind of decreased, especially when it gets up tier. Now, again, when this ship is top tier, or even when it's middle tier, this is still a very, 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 very good premium ship. A very good boat in the right hands, especially if you have a team that, you know, spots for you and stuff, as rare as that is nowadays. But is this ship, like, ungodly, broken, incredibly busted, beyond overpowered now in World of Warships? I wouldn't say so in most situations. When it's mid-tier, it's a very, very, very strong boat. It's got a lot of utility still. And in tier 7, tier 8 games, there's a hell of a lot more radar than there used to be. So it can't sit in its smokescreen and spam HE with impunity like it used to be able to do, but it's still got a lot going for it. Especially, you know, if you use common sense and know, okay, this ship has radar, and make the right decisions and not sit in your smoke and use island cover and such, it's still a very, very, very good ship. But when it is top tier, this thing's stupid. This thing's really stupid when it's top tier. I haven't had a top tier match in it in a while. I think the last time I actually played it before this review was, I think, on stream back in, I think, August of last year. And we got a top tier match in it, and I think I got like 180,000 damage just farming tier 5 battleships. Yeah, when this thing's top tier, it's stupid and still busted. It's like they're handing out radars at tier 5 and tier 6 and tier 7 a whole lot now. This is still one of the very few tier 7 ships to have a radar. So when it's top tier, it's definitely has the feeling of old Belfast, where you can sit in your smoke with impunity, because again, what's going to get near you at tier 7 when you have radar? But just the fact that the ship gets up tiered so much more now is just hurts it so much. I mean, again, it's a light cruiser. It still can do light cruiser things when it gets up tiered. It just can't do it with as much impunity as it used to back in the day. So is this ship worth trying to get whenever it might or might not be released in standard containers or whatever? No, because you're going to have to throw so much money at the game to get this ship. It's a digital item. It's definitely not worth the hundreds of dollars you're probably going to have to gamble away in standard containers to get. It's a pretty goofy ship. If you ever get one in a super container, or some even in the future when they release her in a random container, you get one, you got a good boat on your hands. This is a very strong ship. Still a very good ship. Just not as busted as it used to be. And it's really interesting looking back on that, how the ship was so crazy they had to remove it from the game. But now, just given the time that's passed, so many more ships have the things that made this ship pretty nutty. You know, the radar, the hydro, smoke, rapid firing guns with HE. God, it was a different game back in 2016. It's always fun to take a look back at these older premiums and see how they're doing today. But anyway, guys, this is my 2 cents on the Belfast in today's World of Warships. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 35,000 subs, just past 33,000 a few days ago, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you're all having a wonderful Thursday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.